Hello everyone, this is Gary from Fantastic Fundas and we are doing lecture 3 of Polity, and in this lecture the topic that we will be covering today is the kinds of majority that we have in our constitution. You might have heard all these words over here. For example, you might have heard about special majority or effective majority or simple majority. So what do you mean by all these words, and how do you differentiate between all these words, right? So we will be talking about them. So the topic is the kinds of majority in our constitution. Please try to understand that it's not always explicitly mentioned in our constitution that this is the kind of majority we will be having, because sometimes the constitution is silent, right? The constitution is silent. Whenever the constitution is silent, then it always means simple majority. So that is the first kind of majority we will be talking about. So what are the other kinds of majorities in our constitution? One is simple majority, and then there is effective majority. We will talk about this also. Effective majority, right? And after effective majority we also have this thing called absolute majority, right? These are the four types. This is 1, 2, 3, and this is 4 is special majority. Now I'll talk about all these four kinds of majorities in this lecture, right? So we can move ahead. So the first is simple majority. What do you mean by simple majority? As the name suggests, it is the simplest kind of majority. That means this is the kind of majority in which the lowest level of parliamentary strength is required. It just simply means that the majority should be of more than, right, more than 50% of present and voting members. 50% of present and voting, right? What do you mean by this? I'll explain you this by an example. Now suppose there are 545 members in the parliament, right? 545 members in parliament, and out of these something happens and on which voting has to be done, right? Now out of these 545, let's say only 480 are present, right? And out of these 480 also, at the time of voting, 20 members say that these are present, right? And at the time of voting, the 20 members, they are present but they abstain from voting, right? So these will also not be counted. So how much we are left with? We are left with 460. Now what is simple majority? Simple majority would be majority of 460, which is 460 by 2 plus 1. This is equal to 231 votes. So simple majority is basically the total people who are actually present and voting, right? The 50% of them. Now it's not mentioned anywhere, so whenever it's not mentioned, we presume that the kind of majority that constitution is seeking, it is only the simple majority, right? Now simple majority is also known as the functional majority, because on this basis only almost all the function of the parliament is done. So it's also known as the functional majority, right? Now basically government here survive with the lesser votes, and so this is how the simple majority works, right? Now see, we now that's not this much about the simple majority. Where what are the areas where simple majority is needed? We'll talk about that, right? Here, okay, let me just write it here. Where is simple majority needed, right? So one is the bills. What kind of bills? If whether it's ordinary bill, over there it's needed. Then if it's a money bill, over there is also needed. And if it's a financial bill, even then there we need only simple majority, right? Now what are these, or the meaning of these bills? I'll talk about them in the later lectures. For now you just remember this much: the simple majority is needed. It can be a question in MCQ or your mains paper. right? So whenever there is no confidence motion moved, no confidence motion is moved in parliament, even then the kind of majority that is needed is a simple majority only, right? Or even when the confidence motion is moved, even then you need simple majority. And then whenever there is censure motion, right, censure motion, even then you need a simple majority only. Censure, at the time of censure motion, basically censure motion is nothing but a way of finding a fault. And then you have this adjournment motion, right, adjournment motion. Even this, for this you need a simple majority. Then there are case of elections where you will need a simple majority. And election of whom? This is very simple. If you want to elect the speaker and the deputy speaker, and if you want to elect the deputy speaker, of course speaker and deputy speaker are only in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha. So this is in the Lok Sabha. And now you don't say the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, because he is the vice president. About him we'll talk different, right, and at a different place. But then there's deputy chairman in Rajya Sabha, so he is also appointed by the simple majority, right? Now this man is in Rajya Sabha. Now for then in states, if we talk about at the level of states, there are MLCs, member of legislative councils, and all these people, so they are also appointed by these by a simple majority, right? Now who else is there, right? And okay, so whom we have seen, so seeing these 5 numbers over here. So what more is needed as if there is whenever there is vote of thanks and vote of thanks, even then we need a simple majority. To whom is the vote of thanks given? Is either given to the president's address or to the governor's address, right? So do these two people, when we give vote of thanks, simple majority. Or whenever there is even the constitutional amendment bill by the state legislature, it has to, when the state legislature has to ratify a constitutional amendment bill, for example, that happens under article 368. So when states also have to pass a constitutional amendment, even then the simple majority is needed for the same, right? Now whenever there is approval given by the houses, right, for the presidential rule, and whenever there is financial emergency, so that is like 356 and 360 over here. This is like financial emergency, and this is like the presidential rule. This is presidential rule, and this over here is the financial emergency, and this over here, this was the amendment of the constitution, right? So what else? Where else do we need simple majority? Now see, whenever under article 352, even whenever a resolution is passed for disapproving the continuation of emergency, even then we need only a simple majority, right? Earlier I mentioned that there are few places in constitution where constitution does not specify what kind of majority is needed. I'll just give you examples of those. For example, if you talk about article 368, right, now it just says that not less than half of the state legislature should ratify, not less than half of state legislature should ratify. Now it nowhere says that this has to be simple majority, right? But we presume it has to be simple majority. Or let's take another case of article 78, right? It says that council of ministers is responsible to the Lok Sabha. Now constitution doesn't say that what majority shall be there by council of ministers, right? It just says it should have confidence of Lok Sabha. The word overused over there, the confidence of Lok Sabha. Now when we say the confidence of Lok Sabha, this also just means the simple majority. Or if we talk about article 67 of the constitution, it talks about the removal of vice president, right? It has to be initiated in Rajya Sabha, the removal of the vice president, removal of vice president, Now this initiates only in Rajya Sabha. The initiation यानी start कहाँ होता है? Only in Rajya Sabha, right? So when this is done, and this is of course approved by Lok Sabha also, but nowhere mentioned that what kind of majority is needed to remove the Vice President of India. So it is just simply the simple majority, right? Now, so this is how the simple majority is. Now let's talk about the second kind of majority, then that is absolute majority. Absolute means something bigger, something whole, right? Now, it just simply means that the 50% of total strength, right? In simple majority, what we were doing, the effective majority, that one, sorry, in simple majority, we were taking 50% of the present and voting, but here it is 50% of the total strength. Just to put it simple, if the total strength of the house is 545 members, then the majority will be 545 by 2 plus 1, and this will be 273 or more members, right? And similarly in Rajya Sabha there are 245 members. In Rajya Sabha, this is in Lok Sabha, in Rajya Sabha the majority will be 245 by 2 plus 1, and this will be 123, which will make the majority, right? Now this absolute majority is as such itself not used anywhere. It is always like not needed itself, right? For transaction of business in parliament, for any kind of work in parliament, affecting absolute majority is not directly needed. It is always needed with, in association with some special kind of majority, right? Special majority, which we will be talking very soon in this lecture only, right? And but this absolute majority, what is the importance of it, right? The absolute majority, it has a great political importance. Politically, this is very important kind of majority, right? Because if you are having absolute majority, for example, Narendra Modi, the NDA government, and not just NDA, out of NDA only the BJP has more than 272 seats now, right? This is like 273 over here, so they cross this mark. So this means that they have absolute majority in parliament, and that means they can actually do better administration than any of the previous governments. And before this, for example, if we talk about UPA government, which was there, right? Now UPA government in its tenure from 2004 to 9, this was not having absolute majority. Actually, in fact, the 14th Lok Sabha election, this is 2000, it was called a hung parliament, because it was called hung parliament, that they were not having majority over here. But even how can they make a government without a majority? Because somebody was supporting them to cross this mark, but they were not supporting them wholeheartedly, not fully. They were just giving them outside support. And the left parties, the left wing in the Parliament of India, the communists, basically, they supported UPA government from outside from 2004 to 9, right? Now, because of this, the government can be considered to be a weak government, right? And whenever there is a strong government, then with absolute majority, we say that there is scope for governance, right? And just to put it in, this thing into a perspective, I'll just share one more thing with you, that 15th, when this Congress over the UPA government won in 2009, it was not having a hung parliament, because it was a majority government over there, right? So this is how the effect of this is the scene of the whole of the absolute majority, right? Now normally this is not needed in itself. It is only needed in collaboration with the special kind of majority, which we will be talking when we talk about the special majority. Before I talk about special majority, I would like to talk to you about a kind of majority which is effective majority, and this is very important from a point of view of our constitution, right? This is effective. Effective in Hindi means असरदार, जो कि बहुत असरदार हो. So what kind of majority is effective majority? Effective majority is that which is the 50% of, now this is 50% of effective strength of the house. Now what does it mean? It means that it is just like absolute majority, but then absolute takes that absolute number. For example, if we say in that in Rajya Sabha there were 245 members, we take in absolute it was we consider 245 completely, even if somebody died or somebody was expelled. But in what do we do in effective majority? These people who are not effective, let's say 5 people died, right? This is died. Now they are not in parliament. Then 5 people were expelled, so they are also not effectively part of parliament. And then there are 5 more people, they resigned, right? So effectively the strength of the Rajya Sabha at this time came down to 230. Now this is the effective strength. Remember the word effective over here, the effective strength, असरदार, किस चीज का असर हो रहा है, what are those things which are affecting the majority, right? So we have this effective strength of the house. Now this effective strength of the house, out of this majority is to be made. For example, if it's 230 over here, then we say 230 upon 2 plus 1, which makes it 116. Now this is the effective majority in this case, right? Now I just wanted to talk to you about where it will be used, where it is needed normally in India. This kind of majority is needed in India in case of number 1 is Article 67. Right, now this is about the removal of the Vice President of India, right? The resolution seeking removal of the Vice President. Now it shall be passed in Rajya Sabha with the effective majority of the House. Though in Lok Sabha it is simple majority only when we talk about the removal of Vice President, right? Though his appointment is through simple majority, but his removal, if you talk about it, removal is from Vice President's removal is through effective majority in effective. I'll just write it for you. Effective majority in Rajya Sabha and simple majority in Lok Sabha, right? So that is how the Vice President is removed. And if we talk about, now this is just like one part of it, and if we talk about the remaining over here, okay, let me just rub it so that you can have one page on just one view of the places where it can be used. Now this is number 1, right? Now number 2, let's talk about 2. Number 2 is now we're talking about the places where effective majority is to be used. If in removal of deputy chairman of course deputy chairman is from Rajya Sabha only, and then and chairman we have already talked about, even in his case, and also the chairman and the deputy chairman of legislative council, right? And these are the state, not all states have legislative council. Where do they exist? We'll talk about that. And also the speaker and the deputy speaker, right? Speaker and deputy speaker. So that is also the place where we need effective majority, effective 50% of the effective strength, right? Now this is kind of like easier majority than absolute majority, but it is like compared relatively most of the times much tougher than a simple majority, which we have already talked about, right? Simple majority is just 50% of the present and voting. So this is the case of effective majority. Now we come to the 4th case, which is the special majority, and this is actually the one of the toughest things over there. So let's talk about it. There are every else kind of majority is called special majority, except from whatever majority is not simple, effective or absolute, that is called special majority. Now it's basically is of 3 types, right? Now the first type is of Article 249. This question has been asked many times in prelim and mains exam as well of UPSC and many other competitive examinations very often. Now Article 249, the first is 249. Now it says that if Rajya Sabha passes a resolution that Parliament can make a law on state subject, then this kind of majority is needed. What do you mean by this? That Article 249. See, just to give you a quick background, there are because there is a center, there is a state, and we are a federal country. So we have done, we divided the responsibilities between the center and the state, right? So we say that there are few things on which only center can make the law, and then there are few things on which only the states can make the law, and then there are few things on which both can make the law, right? So this is called a union list, this is called a state list, and then there is a third list on which both of them can make the law. Even the center can make the list, and the even the state can make the list, right? Now all these things are covered in the schedule 7, right? Now this is just for your reference. This is union list, this is state list, and this is the concurrent list, right? Okay, let me just write it properly. This is concurrent, concurrent, concurrent list, right? This is state list over here. So in concurrent list you have subjects like criminal law, criminal procedure, or transfer of property, or forest. They are part of concurrent list, right? And if you talk about state list, there's a huge list. Actually in state list you have 66 subjects, right? For example, gas, and you have agriculture, income, that is part of states. Very important thing is there. State Public Service Commission is part of state, that is not part of center, please remember that. And then in center there's a huge list, right? Now what happens that in this special kind of majority, article 249, now it's only on state list only the state can make a law, but under article 249, by passing through special majority, Rajya Sabha can ask the Lok Sabha to make a law on the subject which is under state list, right? And to do so, they have to pass a resolution with a special kind of majority, right? And what kind of majority is this? This is the special majority is 2/3 majority, right? This is not simple 1/2, 50% nahi hai. It is 66.67%, 2/3 of the majority of the members present and voting. This is important over here, right? Now similarly, under article 312, Rajya Sabha can pass a law that all India services can be created, right? Now this if Rajya Sabha does that, only then Parliament can make a create all India services, right? Now this is the first instance of how law that is through special majority exists, right? Now we talk about the second part of this. The second is, now this is under article 368. Now I'll talk about in detail when I cover the amendment to the Constitution of India about article 368. For the time being, you just need to remember that what is the kind of majority you needed for the amendment of the Constitution. It is a special majority. And what kind of this is? See, basically this is again it needs a combination actually for special plus the normal simple majority should also be there. Now what is this special about this? See, it's not simple over here. This is absolute majority over here, because it has to be total strength of the house. So what do they need is 2/3. This is not simple, right? I'll just omit it for you. This is absolute. They need special plus absolute. What is special over here? This is 2/3 of the present and voting, and then plus they also need absolute majority, and that means the majority of the total strength of the house. Only then a constitutional amendment can be passed, right? And not just this, right? This is just one part of it. Plus there are certain provisions under 368 for which you need more majority, right? And that is, you also need simple majority of at least half of the states of India. So 368 is a case. When we talk about 368, I will talk to you about this special kind of majority, right? Now so these are the basic areas where you need special majority. Where else it is needed, I'll talk about that. For example, now if you want to pass, as I talked, constitutional amendment bill, right? Now under article 352 also this is needed, special majority. Where is the need? We are talking about the need of the special majority. So let me just put a line over here so that it's easy for you to understand. 352, right? Article 352 is national emergency. See, when we are talking, when you're listening to the lecture slowly, you will remember all these article numbers. I like to talk to you through the article numbers, so that whenever you think of an article, you have particular detail in front of you. Your mind, see, mind is like an index, and these numbers are the index of the mind. So once you remember these numbers, it will be easier for you to do polity. Now article 352, this is national emergency, right? National emergency. Now, whenever a resolution is passed by the houses of the parliament for approving the continuation of the national emergency, you need special kind of majority, right? Then under article 124, that removal of judges, and then under article 3 there is that's right, 124, this is removal of for removal of judges. Much of the judiciary is covered under article 124, much of the legal provisions. And then if you want to remove that this is 324, like judiciary, removal of judiciary. And if you want to remove the chief election commissioner, then you just move 200 articles ahead, 324 mein chale jaye aap. And then for removal of, if you want to remove CAG of India, there you need this kind of majority special. And then under article 169, for the resolution passed by the legislative assembly for creation or abolition of a legislative council of that state, the legislative council of the state whenever created or abolished under article 169. Right. Now, just to make it easier for you to remember, if you can remember the article numbers, you will find that it is much easier for you to recall things. याद करना आसान हो जाएगा. So that is 352. 124 is for removing the judiciary judges, and 324 is for removing CEC, and 148 for removal of CAG, and then this is known for the legislative council, right? The article number 169. Right now, there is just one more case of the need of the special majority, and I just want to talk about it especially because this has been asked in paper directly. So, and this is about the removal of the president of India, right? How the president of India is removed. So this is about that. So let's talk about it. This is number 3, and this is president. Even in his case, you will need special majority, and this is done under article 61, and this is known as the impeachment of president. Only president is impeached in India, everyone else is removed in India. And here the kind of majority, this is the highest possible majority needed in India for any act, and this is 2/3 of the total strength of the house. This is total strength, and remember, this is not 2/3 of the present and voting, this is 2/3 of the total. So to remove president of India in Lok Sabha, what kind of majority you will need? You will need 545 into 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 plus 1. So this will be approximately 364 plus. And similarly in Rajya Sabha, you'll end up having 164 plus. So this is how the special majority operates in case of the president. We'll talk about it in more detail when we talk about the president of India also. So that is pretty much about it, and I just have a request to you all. Please subscribe to our channel if you like it, and you can always share with your friends and everyone who wants to study polity. They can subscribe. When you subscribe, the videos will come directly into your email, so that it will be much easier for you to get updates. And then we are doing much more than this. You can go to our website. The name of our website is fantasticfundas.com, and there you will find much more than polity. We are also doing modern history and much more than that. So that's all, and thank you for watching.